Good morning, men and ladies of grade 8. I just want to go over the lesson from yesterday, make sure there's no questions with it. I won't be here tomorrow, so I want, if you're having problems with the homework, for you to be able to have somewhere to look. Now remember, all the stuff we're doing is still based in a percent work, and we've done it for a week. It's just a different variation, and they're just small little things you have to remember and the order in which you have to apply it. Now it's also good to know the definitions and what we're talking about. So the three things we talked about yesterday, the first one is commission. And remember, commission is something that people get when they're selling something. People at a stereo store or Best Buy or even car salesmen, they get a commission and they get a percentage back of what they're selling. So it goes, they get a certain amount per hour, and then usually they get a few percentage points as well. So that's commission. Sales tax is what is put on all of our goods and services now. The sales tax in Ontario is called HST, which stands for Harmonized Sales Tax, and it's 13%. So whenever we buy something at the store, at the very end of the bill, they add 13% after they add it all together. And lastly, discount, that's your sale price. So whenever you go to a store and you see that there's 20% off an item, or 10% off, or 50% off, it must be a huge sale, maybe Boxing Day, that's what a discount is. Discount's very similar to when we were doing work last week with an increase or a decrease of a number. Very, very similar. It's just applied with these two other concepts to do money sales and things involving money. Anyhow, the big part that we had to remember to do is that when we're calculating stuff today and it asks you for a final price and how much the person got, you always apply any discount that happened first, apply that to the number, then you find out the commission that the person makes. And that's totally separate from the rest of your answer, but you find out how much money the seller makes, and then you add the sales tax to the number that you got at the original after the discounted price. So I'm just going to go over a few quick examples, and then you can have no problem with your work today. In this first problem, I just picked out a camera, knowing that your homework was all things that you can buy at Best Buy. Anyhow, the camera is $500, and we're going to say it was on sale for 10% off. Mike was our salesman today, and he makes a 3% commission on his sales. So the two questions it's going to ask us is A, what is the commission that Mike makes? And number two is, what is the final price after sales and tax, after the sale is taken off, or discount price, and after the tax is added? So in order to do this, the first thing we have to do is take the discount off. We have to know how much the camera was. So it was $500, and then we're going to take 10% off of that. And remember, there are two ways that you can do it. My favorite is to take whatever's left, which would be 90% of the total price is left. If we take 10% off of 100, you'll get 90%. So my favorite way is to just multiply this by 90%, 500 times decimal 9, and that equals $450. Now this is a way to do it in one step. It's a little more theoretical based than the way we first learned, but it's kind of the way I would like to see you go. It's smarter math. The way we originally started, however, was to take that $500 and multiply it by the amount that is taken off, which is 10%. 500 multiplied by 10% as a decimal would be decimal 10, and that would be $50. $50 represents the amount of money off. We would have to go back to the $500, subtract 50, and we would get 450. It is the same number that we got above, just with a few extra steps. You have to choose which way you are comfortable with it. You have to know that this is the way I want to go, and you have to understand it. Both of them are absolutely right. So anyhow, now we have that the price is $450. The two questions that were asked is, one, what is commission for Mike, and what is the final price? Remember, we always have to do the commission before we add the tax on, because Mike would never make a commission based off money that had tax on it. So anyhow, in part two, our next part, you need to find a new place to do some work. We're going to take the $450 of what our sales price is, and then we're going to find out what Mike's commission is. And remember, it was 3%. So we're going to multiply that by 3%. We've done percent so much. Remember that that is decimal 3, decimal 03 and not decimal 3. You have to divide 3 by 100 and you'll get decimal 03. And 450 times decimal 03 equals $13.50. So that's not a lot of money for poor Mike, but we'll add that to his hourly wage, and he will have made $23, $24 an hour that day. So this is Mike's commission. I'll circle that because it's an answer. Anyhow, now we're going to go for the final price, and we don't use this $13.50 again. We go back to the $450, which was the sale price, and then we have to add in the 13% sales tax. Again, there are two ways to do it: the long and hard way, or the much easier way. The much easier way is to multiply that by 1.13. And 1.13, the 1 represents 100% of the price, and the decimal 13 is the extra 13%. When we do it this way, it's going to put all our work into one line. And when we multiply those two together, it's going to be $508.50. So that's the total price, or final price. Now, that's not how we started when we first learned how to do it. We did it in multiple steps. So this is one way. The original way, which I encourage you to use if that's the way you want to go because you're kind of set, is to multiply this by 13%, 450 times 13% as decimal is decimal 13, and that would be $58.50. That's just the tax. What we'd have to do then is add that back to the original, the original sale price. That's $58 plus $450, and we get the exact same answer that we had just a second ago of $508.50. I encourage you to do it this way. If you don't get it yet, practice it, ask questions, see if we can show you a different way, because it saves so much time when you put it on and add it to 100% and make that 1.13. Choice is yours though. Alright, for my last example, I'm going to do it the quick way, and you can redo it knowing the answers or learn how to do it with skipping a few steps. I'm not going to do it both ways. Anyhow, I always am amazed when I was in Vegas, the dogs that were there, people walking them in strollers and the sweaters, and some of them even had little chains and decorations, or not decorations, but jewelry on. Anyhow, so I thought of this question where a person was selling dog clothes and whatever. The sweater was $300 because we're in Vegas, and a diamond dog collar for $2,000. And the salesperson was Zippy, and he makes 12% commission on his sales. Again, we're going to ask for what is the final price of the items and what is the commission that Zippy makes. Well, first of all, we have two items here. So the first thing we're going to have to do is add those two together, because we have a $300 sweater and a $2,000 dog collar. So we're starting with $2,300 worth of merchandise. And then we have to remember we're going to take his commission. The commission that he has, there is no discount, by the way. There was no deals to be had in Vegas. So $2,300, and now we're going to multiply that by 12%. Remember, the quicker way to do it is to multiply it by 2,300 times decimal 12, because 12% divided by 100 is decimal 12. And then I have to figure out what that is. Give me 1 second. And that is $276. That's how much money Zippy will make just for selling those items. At 12% commission, it's a lot more than the 3% commission poor Mike on the question previous made. Anyhow, now we want to add the tax. Now I know I said we're in Las Vegas, and I can't quite remember what the sales tax was in Las Vegas, so I'm just going to use Ontario's tax, and remember that Ontario's tax is 13%. Anyhow, you go back to the original cost of the items. There is no discount applied, so it was $2,300. Next, you're going to multiply the tax in. Now, you can do it in 2 steps, but I like to do it in 1. So you multiply this by 1.13. The whole number 1 represents the 100% of the number, because it will be at least $2,300. And the decimal 13 represents the 13% tax. So when we include it all together, we know that this is going to be a one-step question. 2,300 multiplied by decimal 1.13 on my calculator equals $2,599. And that's our work for today. Good luck. Ask lots of questions.